Good evening, everyone. Welcome. As long as we're running in the back, I think we're good. Okay. All right, good evening. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is not as many people as I thought would be here given what we're talking about, but that's okay. We'll make do. We're starting a process tonight, actually. Not really finishing one, so that's okay. All right, so tonight at our town hall, we are talking about partnerships. Partnerships in ministry that we might be able to do here at Trinity. So next slide, please. Our agenda is to recap just a little bit of the ministry plan initiative, talk about the partnership ground rules, ideas, and process, and then update the timeline for our ministry plan. Sound good to everybody? All right, then next one there. When I came here as senior pastor, the leadership of the church said, hey, we want you to focus the ministry direction and programming that we do here at Trinity. The thought was that there are lots of good things happening, and there are, but that it was not structured or focused enough. So that's what we've been working on now for several months with surveys and town halls and all sorts of things. What we're going to do, I want to remind everyone of what I said when I got here. Next slide, please. We need to evaluate the possibility of new ministries because the church needs to do ministry beyond doing the school. Full stop. Needs to do ministry beyond the school. We do a wonderful job of the school ministry. There's chance for opportunity in outreach and things there, but we need to do something beyond that. As this process has played out, though, it seems as if the emerging consensus is that instead of doing our own ministry, go back one real quick. Instead of doing our own new ministry, it is to come alongside other ministries. That seems to be where a lot of folks have kind of talked about and expressed an interest in doing that. And so that's kind of what has become apparent to me as I've been working through this. Now, our evaluation standard, the next slide there. We want to do something good for other people, that's good. If we can do something good plus make friends, that's better. And if we have a chance to make disciples, that's the best. I like the idea of partnerships because we're already friends with people and coming alongside. And we can do more together, but hopefully also have a component in there that hopefully helps us to make disciples. So, hopefully you already know this about me. I love the idea of partnerships. I want to partner with a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different groups, because I think it expands the ministry of anybody who partners. And that's a big, big deal. Plus, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So, all right. So, ground rules. Next slide, please. And go ahead and go again. What I am looking for in a ministry partnership, what it needs to be centered in the gospel, and it cannot be evangel tourism. I've seen this way too often, and I've also talked to mission execs around the world in different areas through LCMS World Mission. They really don't like short-term mission groups because you end up playing concierge to a bunch of tourists. It's not what it's supposed to be. I also don't like the idea of being a sugar daddy to a church somewhere where we just send them money. That is not what it is supposed to be. I would love for any ministry, be it here or especially outside of our area, to be connected to a local church. It can't just be us parachuting in for a week. I don't think that is a benefit to anybody. I am looking for a true partnership of ministry and purpose. Now, I share those things mostly because I have some experience in this. I've talked with folks and things like that. But I want you to know where I'm coming from on this so that we can kind of work together towards it. I do have, as the senior pastor, I don't want to call it veto power, but I'm the one that's tasked with running the ministries. If I don't think the ministry fits with what we're doing, then I'm probably not going to have it run. That is my prerogative. That is also the charge that has been given me. So, questions, comments on any of that? Okay. Well then, we'll move on then to options. There are a bunch of things that have come up over the last few months on this partnership idea. And this is kind of interesting because these people were some of the first people to come and talk to me. And I told them, hey, we'll get to this. Hang on. We'll get to it. Right? So there are some options of things we've already done. So next slide there. Could be that we want to reinvest in a previous undertaking like the Appalachia trips, the Alaska VBS, the Guatemala church. I'm sure there are some others that you guys can think of. Those are the three that have come to me. I've actually had 2 groups of people in my office last fall. Hey, we think we should do this. I kind of told them, we'll get to it. Come back. I wish they were here tonight. But there are some other things as well. Notice most of those are out of the area. That's okay. But we've also had a couple of other things come up in the last few months. Next slide there. If you remember House of Hope in Madagascar, we had Pastor Jean here preaching about that. That was through Pastor Doer. He knew Pastor Doer, right? I think it's a wonderful opportunity. One of my SIM classmates is president of his board, and we went through summer Greek together, so we've been through hell, right? But also, this is one that I hadn't mentioned to anybody, but this is a tremendously awesome opportunity. On our trip in Europe, my wife and I met some missionaries at one of the English-speaking churches that we went to, and they took us out to dinner, and we had a great time, and we were talking about what they were doing. And he is literally looking to try and do an online ministry to young people throughout Europe. Kind of a Awana for adults, or if you know anything about Alpha, the Alpha program that is very prevalent. Alpha is a weekly Bible study, but it's more like less of a Bible study and more of a class. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program. But he's looking to do something like that online for young adults and might need some help to start it up and things like that. We can do that from here. So there are other options. Also, there might be something that you all have come across, something new that you want. We'll get to that in a sec. Now, most of this is across the ocean. Something local, there are some other opportunities to go to. So next slide there. Selah's house was something that came to me at the very beginning. They needed to do a little bit over there, and they've done that, and the opportunity is to come back alongside them. But there's also something new, the next one there. Oaks of Righteousness has come to us and asked for assistance. We haven't done a whole lot with that, basically trying to figure out what they're doing. But we also have LifeWise that Laura's here to talk about and share a little bit. We had Amanda Aaron here one weekend sharing about LifeWise, where they take the kids. I'm going to steal your thunder a little. Sorry, Laura. Take the kids out of public school lunch, get them over to a church, do a basically kind of a VBS type class, teaching about Jesus, and send them back to school. I think it's a great and awesome opportunity to share the gospel with kids. I also like it because we have a huge education background. I think this partners nicely with our own efforts. Because I do want to point out, we do religion in our school. We have religion class in our school. Lots and lots of religion class. So, but yes, that's there. Now, there might be something else as well. You might have a ministry that you're interested in. So next slide there. Is anybody here because they have an idea other than the ones that have come up here that I've shared? It's pretty much an exhaustive list of what everybody's talked about with me over the last few months. Anybody got a different idea?
Well, there's
Heartbeats. I know a lot of churches come alongside them during various points of the year. The Heartbeat Association. I've been meeting with local pastors because I finally feel like I have my feet under me. And I like to eat lunch with people. So we've gone and gotten lunch. I think I've gotten lunch with 3 or 4, maybe 5 pastors, and they all come alongside Heartbeat. Sure, there's always something that they are needing. Sure, there's another one. Anybody else? Sunday night meal was not on that list. mostly because we're already running it. This is something new. But do I want to make sure that Sunday night meal continues and that we find some better ways to make that go? Yes, for sure. For sure. I'll be honest, I'll tell you, I think I've told other people, I think Sunday night meal is one of the most exciting things we've got going. It's just that we don't really have it going, not in the way in which I think it needs to be. So, but yes, and notice that's a partnership. We partner with GodWorks to make that happen. It's one of 7 meals in Monroe. We're one of the sites. So it's a partnership that I do think we can invest more in, and I want to make sure that we do. I wasn't going to touch on that one so much tonight as our next one because we're already running it. But I think Sunday night meal is very, very important. Anybody else a different idea?
So we don't want to start a new ministry, we want to go with ones that are already established?
It's looking like that's the case because I haven't had a whole lot of, it's looking like we want to go with an established ministry rather than start our own. And that's just over the last 8-10 months that I've been doing this, nobody's come in and said, Pastor, we should do this. And said, we're not doing it, we should be doing it. But I have heard several of these things again and again and again. So if it's already on the heartbeat and kind of the lingo and the talking of the congregation, that makes sense to me to pay attention to that rather than to try and necessarily go somewhere where they're not thinking and not. Now, I think we need a ministry other than the school. But could we do 2 or 3? I would hope so. I would hope so. But right now, I think partnerships are kind of the place that people are comfortable and a place that people are already thinking. And so I'd like to try and double down on that a little bit because in the last 8-10 months, all these opportunities have come. And I think they're all worthwhile to look at, evaluate, and see if these are things we want to get back into or new things that we want to do. There's opportunity there. So one of the things I've been talking about with these pastors over lunch is, hey, what do you think Monroe needs? And they all go, I don't know. You know, there's lots of stuff going on. There's all sorts of community services and stuff. I don't know that there is something that Monroe necessarily needs. And so I'm like, okay, if none of you go, oh, we need this. Now, the only thing that comes up is, well, if Oaks closes, we need another homeless shelter. And I'm going, whoa, I don't know about that. I don't know if we could take that on. That would probably need to be a community, not a community thing, but a churches of Monroe thing rather than one church doing it. So, Kathy. Well, here, Kathy, talking to the mic, will you please? Thank you.
When I was on?
It's on.
Okay. When I was volunteering at Selah, one of the things that kind of came to my attention was that there's a shortage of child care in this area. And looking at, we do before school, after school child care, we have some facilities. I'm just wondering if that's something that should be put on the list at some point.
Sure, like a latchkey program?
Well, or even all-day child care, infant
Okay.
child care. I mean, Tracy's probably wants to throw something at me, but I think if we're talking about needs, I think that might be a community need.
Yeah, that is not one that has come up for me before, but if it's coming out of Selah's house, I understand that. I understand that need. Also, I do, every community can use more after-school programs for kids. Every community can. What is it, 3 to 5 is the number one time for adolescent mischief? Drinking, drugs, sex, crime. Like the statistics actually show that. Middle school and high school, that's when the kids, for the most part, get in trouble. It's not Saturday night at 2 a.m. They're playing video games at that point. 3 to 5 is when they get into that mischief. So there is something there that I think we might be able to. I wrote it down, so we'll think about that a little bit and go from there. Yes, right behind you there. Talking to the mic, please, for posterity.
A few months ago,
Can you put it right next to your mouth? Thank you.
A few months ago, I was at a Bible study, and the question came up about some of the older people of the congregation might need some cleanup or minor repairs around their house, and they would really be appreciative of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's within our congregation, that we need to touch all areas, whether
Sure.
within our congregation or across the sea.
Sure, I've got that one written down. That's actually the second time today that's come up. Somebody talked to me about, Pastor, what if we were able to give rides to people who needed to get to pick up their prescription, go to a doctor's appointment, those sorts of things. So this is similar. This is similar.
Right.
Okay? Anybody else? Over here.
You and I have talked about this before, about the Athletes in Action
Yes.
program. I don't know, do they have anything like that in Monroe County?
We are looking to do Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I actually am tasking my youth minister wife to get that going. We've talked about it for a long, long time. We talked about it throughout the school year last year, and it's coming down to the wire. I think it'll be easy to get up and going. We'll have a huddle here, probably during lunch. I have you and Jim Bunkelman that have said that you'd be willing to participate, and be leaders for it. So I think that's a good start. So you should be hearing from Mindy hopefully this week.
Okay.
So, but that is another partnership. I had forgotten about Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So, Kevin's got one back here. Kevin's got one back here.
On offering some assistance for older members, do we need to consider starting a parish nursing program? The Michigan District can help us set up something like that. We have former nurses, current nurses that would like to help with something like that. I think that would be a wonderful program, especially like Zed Pastor. People are getting a hold of us wanting rides.
Yeah.
We're trying to coordinate some of that just through
Yeah.
through the grapevine, but do we need something else?
Yeah. No, I got that one down. Cool, good. Because I know a lot of congregations that also parish nursing is a tremendous outreach into their community as well, because they'll run like health fairs and screenings and those sorts of things that are open to the community as well. So cool, wonderful. This is why we're having this meeting. I honestly hadn't thought of any of these. So this is great. This is wonderful. Anybody else, an idea, somebody we can partner with? Oh, sorry.
I was going to give you a few more while I had the mic.
Oh, okay, go.
So we used to partner with Habitat for Humanity and have members of the congregation help with those builds. And now Thrivent is partnering with Habitat. So there's different things through Thrivent to do that. Do
Okay.
we need to partner more with Thrivent? Do we need to partner more with Lutheran Hour Ministries? There's so much going on there. There's things for the school. There's just a lot of places we can go through that ministry.
Yeah. Okay. And then, sorry, Rich, but you got to run up here. To Holly. The reason we're having you talk in the mic is that way the people who watch the stream aren't going, what are they talking about? Holly over there, Rich.
Hi, I don't know if it's good evening. I don't know if this is the right
It's
time,
on. It's on. You're good. Just keep talking.
But we were doing at the Faith, Family, and Fun planning for next fall, and we just got to chit-chatting over the table, thinking about how, because I know we read in your bulletin that you need money for new ministries and things like that, and everything, from Sailor's House to donate money to everybody that needs it. And we all kind of sat there and chit-chatted, and we know that we don't have a license for an auction, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking about, which is perfectly legal, to do a drawing in the fall where you have the gentlemen, the fathers of the church, and the mothers come in for an evening, and we haven't brought it up to the whole wing, Debbie, president, the whole wings program, but the people that were there we all had something that we could donate. I will give $1,000 towards a scholarship. I will get any auto parts you want in the world. That's why it's good to bring men there. They'll spend money. And I'll get batteries, anything they need. Mary Gunter is talking about pumpkin rolls. Someone else can get Bath and Body Works to make baskets. And you just set it on
Yeah.
the table with a little pail, and you buy a ticket, and it's all
Okay.
free. I mean, free for the church, for the
Okay.
for the fun.
Yeah. I'm going to encourage you to get in touch with Tommy Morgan
Okay.
because he's running a dinner auction next January for the capital campaign.
Okay.
But I would encourage you. I'm sure he's looking for people that will help and be a part.
What is
Touch
his
base
name?
with
I'm sorry.
Tommy Morgan or Stephanie Morgan. Yeah. Cakes by Stephanie, folks.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Touch base with them.
And I'm sure she would be glad to donate something too to the drawing. It's just a thought, but
No. Yeah.
because you know what, it'd be nice to have enough money in the bank account for the wing or for whoever that if you needed a couple $1,000s for whatever, say let's
Yeah.
or a ministry, we don't have to fight for it.
Yeah. No, I think that's good.
I
You
have a
do.
savings account.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point, though, that part of these are all great ideas. These are all good things. I think there are a lot of options. What we have to keep in mind, and what is my job to keep in front of us, is that we don't have a money tree somewhere on the grounds. If we do, somebody tell me where it is. I'd love to know where it is. Okay? And so there are limited resources. Now, are we limited in there's nothing to be able to give and we're barely making budget and all that kind of stuff? No, but we need to not inundate people to where they feel like they have to give to all these things, and aren't we ever going to take care of ourselves and all of that kind of stuff. We do need to make sure that we're doing these partnerships in such a way that our resources are not stretched, but that the partnership actually makes it go further. That's why, going back to what I said about partnerships, it needs to be a true partnership. It can't just be a sugar daddy. I can't just say, well, here's a check. Charity is okay. But for us, for ministry is different than charity. I have no problem with charity. Please give to the causes that you care about. Please give to them. But ministry is not just writing a check. Ministry is connection. Ministry is relationships. Ministry is trying to make those friends and make those disciples that require more than filling out a check. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, some of this is how do we fund some of these things? Some of the question then is, like if there's going to be a group that goes to Appalachia, are they going to need to do a couple fundraisers and stuff like that to be able to make the trip? But what's wonderful about those things, and this is what I've learned from my wife's youth ministry, is if you're going on the trip, you have to be a part of the fundraisers and the pre-trip engagements so that when you get there, you're not just sitting there staring at your phone. All right? And you know some of the other kids. You have a relationship with them. This isn't the first time you've spent time together, because if they're a stranger, how much does that work? But if you know them, is the trip so much better? Does it mean so much more? Yeah. Now, I will also say this, the trips to Alaska, the trips to Appalachia, the trips to, different trips like that, I would put it out there that it doesn't necessarily have to be a youth activity. There are plenty of places that will take adults to come along and help with all of that too. And so all of that is kind of good. And you don't have to go far. There's Camp Restore down at Mount Calvary in Detroit that is working to rebuild that neighborhood. So you don't have to go a different time zone or 15 hours away. There are opportunities for that. The kids just went to Youth Haven outside of Lansing for their sermon event, right? Had a great time. And they're all talking about going back next year. Those kinds of opportunities are needed as well, but it doesn't just have to be for the kids.
No, not just for the
Yeah.
kids, wherever you guys decide to do.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when my kids left here, they went to Kevin Central, and they do a lot of auctions, and we've never regretted one, but they make a ton of money.
Yeah, there's money to be had. The problem with auctions is getting all of that stuff. Yeah. The high schools that I taught at, all 3 high schools that I was at, had an auction every year. It was their biggest fundraiser. They had somebody on staff just to run the auction. because it took that much to get all of it together. All right, good. Anything else? Any other ideas? Yeah, go ahead. Here, real quick, talk into the mic. Thank you.
So, the evangelism tourism thing,
Yeah.
how is that different than the Guatemala, the Appalachia, the Alaska? I thought that's what the things you were talking about.
Evangel tourism is different. I would say this. Let me see. I went on a mission trip in seminary. We went to Belize, and for part of the time we were with a group from a church outside St. Louis. They went every year to a little village in Belize on the seashore, and they did a VBS every year. And they went back every year. They drove down the seashore just a little bit and stayed at a 5-star hotel every time. There was no Lutheran church in Belize, not a single one. There wasn't even a church other than a Roman Catholic church in this town. So they just showed up for a week, did some stuff, and then went home. For me, that's evangel tourism. For me, I would much rather we have a partner in that place that we can actually work with. And yes, we send some people maybe once or twice a year, but they go there for a very specific purpose. We were supposed to actually take down the town's dilapidated structure, gazebo in the middle. They had a big one. But the government of Belize had come in, they were doing road work, and they commandeered the thing, shored it up, made it better, and then stuck all their stuff in it, and then boarded it up so that nobody could get in at the roadwork materials. So we didn't end up doing that. So our trip pivoted real fast in that. You go down for one specific purpose, you make sure that it's helpful, and you go from there. I don't want this to just be, oh, let's go to Madagascar. That'll be so much fun, right? I don't think that's what it needs to be. So, interestingly, now there is a Lutheran church in Belize. Could we partner with them to try and plant a church, maybe in a little town that they're looking at, and those sorts of things? That's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I will say this. The question I asked the Alaska group was, what church were you all working with? Oh, we weren't working with a church. I'm like, then what happened? I mean, it was a great trip, don't get me wrong. It was probably very positive for folks from here, maybe even from folks from there. But if you leave and there's nothing left to then build on, I don't find that to be appropriate. Another example, my church that I grew up in, they took on a little mission project into a town on Baja in Mexico. And they showed up, they dug a well, it was about this big, pop can could go down it, right? Dug a well, and then they put in a pump, an electric pump to be able to pump the water up. Town doesn't have electricity. They left, and the people were pulling water up by pop can because that's all that could go down there. They didn't have a pump to go down the 150 feet because they didn't have electricity. They didn't even show up with a solar panel that would run it for 30 seconds. That kind of ministry, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I probably shouldn't have mentioned that on something that's going to be on the internet, but that's all right. These are the things I want to avoid. I want to make sure that what we're doing is actually good. That generally requires a partner on the ground where you are that can tell you what the needs are and the things that need to be done. So, all right. Okay. All right. Next slide then. What is the process that we're going to go through for this ministry partnership? Okay. What is the process? Well, I am going to ask you to, if you wouldn't mind passing one of those out to everybody. I am going to ask you to, if you have a ministry that you'd like to be a part of, or like Trinity to be a part of, I need a ministry roadmap from you. That is what John is passing out right now. This is a sheet that we as a congregation are going to get used to because we're going to do them not only for these partnerships, but also for all of our ministries here at Trinity. So there's going to be one for, go ahead to the next slide there. One for every ministry at Trinity. It's to chart a way forward and to provide a roadmap for each ministry to follow. Next slide then. That's a picture of it. You have one in your hands. It's a one-page planning tool that we're going to use. This planning tool actually comes out of the corporate world, the ADCAR change model that they use in the corporate world. I find it to be very, very helpful, and I want to thank Kristen Furstenberg for bringing it to my attention, because this is fantastic. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So we'll go through these different purposes. Next slide. So I need the name of your ministry. I'm going to say I prefer something catchy, right? Outreach ministry doesn't have the same pizzazz as bringing the gospel to Monroe, or something like that. I'll give you a great example. Spread the good news. Do you all know what that is? Oh, goodness, you should. It's our peanut butter drive. Spread the good news. That's just great. That is a great name.
What's your wife's ministry for the mats?
Serve the Lord with plastic. Yeah, serve the Lord with plastic. The reason that we kind of need a catchy name rather than just Appalachia Trip is because it helps to capture the imagination of people. Plus, it also makes our communications of what's going on easier, if there's something a little catchy to it and all of that. But then there also needs to be a purpose statement. Why? Why are we doing this ministry? Why does this ministry need to exist where we are? So I'm gonna do Laura's for her. To tell public school kids about Jesus. It's a great purpose statement. That's what we want. That's what we need, so that we can always go back and say, are we meeting the purpose of what we're trying to do by doing this? Okay? All right, next then is the ministry target group. Who is this designed to serve? So if it's Life, I'm going to just do your presentation for you, Laura, all right? If it's LifeWise, it's public school kids in Monroe, probably Monroe Middle School that's only 2 blocks away. Well, 2, right? That's the target audience. It doesn't have to be. Now, if you put the people of Monroe, like which people? Because there's, several thousand people in Monroe. We really do need a target audience, okay? Next, the key outcomes. What are the spiritual, relational, and community goals? How are we trying to share the gospel? That's the first one. How are we going to hopefully make a disciple out of someone that we're involved with through this? The relational goals are, how are we going to make friends by doing this? Does that make sense? Going back to my good, better, best, right? And then the community goals, what's the good you want to do? I should have put it community, relational, spiritual, but it's the good, better, best. What's the good we're going to do? What's the goal we want to meet? The need we want to meet? How are we going to make friends doing it? And how can we possibly make disciples doing it? Now, if your version of your thing is simply, like for the peanut butter drive, we're just going to make sure that food banks around the area have good shelf-stable food to be able to give out peanut butter and jelly, a staple for folks. That's good enough. It's good enough. I do love that Allison Beaker took it to several other churches and is making some friends, creating some partnerships with those people, and even a couple of businesses. Those kind of partnerships matter. She's making friends as she's expanded the reach of that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I think Kroger did come alongside. If I remember correctly. Now, here's the other reason why we need this. I can then take this sheet and use it to debrief with people. Does that make sense? After the thing, that's one thing I need to do, is make sure that we're debriefing after these things to see what went well, what needs work, those sorts of things. But it's hard to do when I don't know all of this stuff. The ministry plans then allow us to be able to have that. All right, next, ministry model. How it runs. Is it a one-off event? Is it a small group thing? Are there classes? Is it outreach of some kind? But also along this, it needs benchmarks. What are we hoping to accomplish so that we can see some growth and some movement in what we're doing? So for AA here, right, they just rent the building, But if we were going to try and maybe come alongside AA a little bit, what would be the benchmarks? What would we hope to be able to see as we came alongside AA or something like that? Those are questions that you have to answer. AA really doesn't partner with anybody because of the anonymity that it needs, so you can't really do a whole lot with that. But if we were working with another group like Selah's House, like how many volunteer hours are put in? We want to see what kind of benchmarks that would, and what opportunities are there. What kind of benchmarks would there be that we would be hoping to be able to be in the house, help with the girls, help with the kids, those sorts of things. The benchmarks so we can see that there's actually an impact happening because of what we're doing. Okay? All right, before we move on, questions on any of this so far? Okay. All right, then next, the leadership structure and members. Who's the lead person? In other words, who's the person that's going to talk with me about debriefing and making sure that I know what I need to know and all of that? Or with one of my elders, because we might be doing that. We've done that with some other ministries here at Trinity. We might be asking the elders to be liaisons with some of these ministries. But who then is also the support team? In other words, this can't be one person. There needs to be a team. At least 2 to 3 individuals that can make it happen. And then we need to know how many volunteers are needed to do this. So for the peanut butter and jelly drive, Allison is the lead. She's got a couple people that are on her support team, like Vicky Fernandez and a couple others. And then can you all help box it up and carry it? That's how that then works, okay? All right. Now, I will say this. In terms of a partnership like with Selah's House or with LifeWise, right? We need to know what volunteers are needed. Laura was talking about chaperones to walk the kids over, people that are here during that time. Selah's House, there were some people that volunteered teaching the girls finance and all of those sorts of things. What are those opportunities, and what would it look like? And are there any requirements for those people? Like at Selah's House, it might not be great to have a whole lot of male volunteers. So, what are the requirements? We need to know those things, okay? All right, the annual rhythm, the next slide there. What are the major seasons, events, and the planning timeline? The planning timeline, everybody kind of goes, whoa, what's he talking about? I literally have a group event planning timeline that'll do 6 months out, 4 months out, 3 months out, 2 months out, 1 month out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out, 1 day out, and it'll walk you through everything that you need to have kind of put together for those things. That's for a one-off event. Could it also help you if you're doing multiple events and things like that throughout the year, just to keep on track and not have to crunch at the end? Yeah. The one thing I do want to encourage us to think about is I'd much rather do things that allow for continual contact with people rather than just one-off events. Like I love our trunk or treat. It's great. I love trunk or treats. They're fun, right? I have a costume I paid big money for. I like doing it. But that one-off event, if it only touches a certain group once a year, what are the chances of making friends and making disciples out of that? So instead of just one event, our children's ministry runs 4 so that we can hit them quarterly with something and hopefully bring them back and develop a relationship. Would it be better to hit them more than just once every 3 months? Yeah, but we're building towards that. That's what Pastor Doerr and Stacy Wigman are working on. Okay? All right. Next, then, is the tools and systems. What are the technology needs? What spaces need to be used? What is the communication needs? And what tools do you need? Like if you're going to do a spring cleanup, it really helps to know you need to bring gloves and yard implements and packing tape and all sorts of things. What are those? That's a very simple example, but also for these trips, right? When we went to Belize, we all had something in our checked baggage to take to the partners we had in Belize. There were parts for a hydroponics unit, because one of the pastors down there that we were partnering with was raising tilapia for extra cash, and so we brought him hydroponics parts, stuff like that, and different things like that. So what are those needs that you would have to have for the ministry? All right, and then health indicators. Now, it says, how is it going currently? It could be, what are we hoping for? What is the goal? All right, so if after one school year of LifeWise, we're hoping for 20 kids, and we get 18, we're in the ballpark. If we get 2, might need to reevaluate. Those sorts of things. And then always, we don't just want to run things to run them. What are the growth markers? What are the things that we want to see happen because of it, and how are we getting to it? In other words, how are we making disciples? What is the part of the program that is hopefully bringing the gospel to the folks that we're ministering with too? All right? All right. Questions on those parts right there? All right, then. Next slide there. To do a new partnership ministry, this roadmap would have to be filled out and turned into the admin team for us to peruse it, take it into consideration, look at what's happening. Now, I've already had some conversations like with LifeWise. We're halfway doing that, but I still need a little bit of answer. Is it going to happen this year? That kind of stuff, right? So we've been doing some of this along the way. This is a relatively new part of this, but we still need a roadmap filled out, okay? And one of the biggest things is you have to have a team. You can't go, well, I'm going to start it, and there will be people that join me along the way. Sorry, not going to do that. Not going to do that. Because if nobody comes alongside, what happens? Now we're scrambling, and staff has to come alongside, or we have to scramble to find people, and we have to have the team in place. There has to be at least 2 to 3 people in place for this to happen, and a very realistic number of what volunteers are needed. So we have to have those teams in place. And then also these ministry roadmaps, like I said, will be the way in which ministries are evaluated and fine-tuned. So the effectiveness and benefits of each ministry will be monitored, and tweaks will be made. Next slide there. Thank you. Tweaks will be made to make sure that it's reaching its goals and its benchmarks. That's my job, is to make sure that I'm helping you grow, but also produce the fruit that you're hoping to produce. Now, does that mean you've got to produce fruit in the first 6 weeks? Oh gosh, no. If we come alongside and do a partnership with another group, we're probably talking 3 to 5 years. But would we evaluate it 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, to make sure that it's doing what we want it to do, and that people are, the group that we're helping is benefiting from what we're doing, but also our people are growing and benefiting from what's happening. Okay? All right, next slide then. Just some closing thoughts. Pretty much anything that I've brought up, that you all brought up, could be implemented. Could be implemented. There is a way in which this can happen. What I don't want this to be is, Pastor wants this, let's do it. No, I think this is a place for the congregation to say, this is what we want, let's do it. I'm just there to help make sure that it happens, but also to make sure we're not extending ourselves beyond what we can do. I'll be honest, we can't do, like I said earlier, all of these. Can't do all of them. Can't have 4 different groups all doing fundraisers to go somewhere in the world. Just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't work. But some of the local ministries, might we be able to do more local ministries than we do global ministries? Of course, because the costs are not nearly as great, travel and all that kind of stuff. But are we going to do 57 local ministries? Probably not. Probably not. I don't want to have all those debriefing meetings. Right? We need to make sure that we are within the realm of what we've got and what we're doing. And with that regard, right, I also want everyone to understand this is not a give pastor an idea and he'll do it. No, I got enough. So does Pastor Doer. Pastor Dennis, maybe. But I think he would use the word retirement and say no on it, right? Okay? Is this an opportunity for the congregation and the laity in the pews to grab something by the horns and make it go? Yeah, I will help. And I will come alongside and do everything I can to help make it a success, both for us as a congregation, but also for the partner that we're coming alongside with. If we are partnering with like Selah's House or LifeWise, I'm going to be involved in setting up the parameters for how that works and what that looks like. For House of Hope, it might just be that we're looking to sponsor 5 kids this year. Can we do that? I don't know that we're going to travel to Madagascar. Do you know how far away that is? Right? Guatemala is a little easier trip, right? And I have friends in Guatemala. So, I'm going to be more involved in terms of making sure that the partnership is set up the way it needs to be and that kind of stuff. I've already met with FCA. Those sorts of things. But I also just want to reiterate this. Teams are a must. An absolute must. Absolute must. We've got to have 2 to 3 people, preferably 3 to 5. Got to have those people alongside to make this run. All right.
Question.
Yes.
So the teams that are already in existence,
Yeah.
are they going to have to fill this form?
Yes. All of the ministries that we have, like, elders, we'll make Kevin do elders. A lot of the ministries, yes, they will all be asked to do this. On August 3rd, I'm going to be asking all the ministries to do this. But I'm also going to be telling some of the ministries, you're now working together. You are not separate ministries, you are now together. And so they're going to have to then get together and consolidate that, and I will be a part of those meetings. And how is this going to work, and what's it going to look like? And it can't just be, well, we're all under one heading, but we all do our own thing. No. It's not the way this works. Because we need to be able to make sure that things are covered and stuff like that. So, yes, the groups of the congregation will be doing this. I'm not going to make the board do this. They do enough paperwork.
So,
right.
I think you mentioned that most of these groups will have to report to one of the elders.
Yeah. Now, for some of these partnerships, they'll probably report to me rather than the elders because I need to be able to keep in contact with that other group. And I'm the face of the congregation. That's my responsibility as administrative pastor. So for like a partnership with Selah's House or LifeWise, I would be the contact. But if it was like we're going to do, Laborers for Christ. That's a wonderful group, LCMS group. They go around and build churches and repair churches. And they were at my college 3 out of the 4 years I was there doing repairs and upgrades to things. People that knew how to do carpentry and all that, right? Laborers for Christ might not be me because it's one trip, 1 week, right? LifeWise is every Friday through the school year. Yeah. So those sorts of things. If it requires more oversights than just like once a year, it'd probably be me. Otherwise, the elders will be. I will be making use of you guys the way I've been trying to since I got here. So, all right, one final closing thought, I should say. As we move forward here, we want to continue to ask, where is God leading Trinity next? And how can we best support the people carrying out that mission? That's what this is all about. Where is God moving us? What good is He putting in front of us to do? I really do think that partnerships are the good He's looking for us to do, and I think that's a good thing. I've got partnerships already in place with several pastors and churches. We're going to be doing some things with some different churches. So that's my part of this, is kind of doing that. So what good is God putting in front of us? How can we do it? And what do the people who are trying to do it need to make it happen? That's the idea. All right, questions, comments, thoughts? I've talked a lot here for a little while. What do you think?
Very organized. I like organization.
I try. I really am very, very thankful to Kristen Furstenberg that first town hall that I had, and I was talking about this, she said, "Do you know about ADCAR?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And she lays it out like, this is how it works, and this is what, and I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. I didn't know there was a name for it. Some organizational guru wrote a book and made money. I should have wrote the book. I would have made money. But she also had a ton of resources like this roadmap here. That roadmap is not just a ministry roadmap. That's literally what she gives to different departments in the medical field to reorganize and change as through her work. So it's tried and true. So we're just using it with a little bit more of a spiritual focus than profit margin. And I said her name wrong. Her name is Caitlin Furstenberg. Why do I keep wanting to call her Kristen? Jeez. I'm learning names. It's just they're all the wrong names. Caitlin Furstenberg. Don't tell her. Yeah, it's on video. Don't you go ahead and tell her I don't know her name. After all we've done together. Oh, jeez. She had me over for dinner even, our family. Oh, jeez. Caitlin Furstenberg. Okay. Why didn't you correct me the first time? Come on. It's your job to make me look good. Okay. And it's not your job to make me look good. Nobody can do that. All right. Then finally, what's the timeline here? Well, we have 3 more town halls in August. Go ahead and go to the next one. Monday, August 3rd, as I pointed out to Ron, that's when we're going to be doing this for the rest of the ministries, the kind of the internal ones, the ones that are already going that aren't partnerships, except for God Works, that's a partnership, but that one's going to be that night. Then on the 17th and 24th, we're going to be going over the desired outcomes for the school and the church. I will point out that the desired outcomes for the school are a subset of the desired outcomes for the church. It is not separate. I did have somebody ask me that. Why do we have separate? No, we have a desired outcome for our largest ministry, and we want to work to that. But it is a subset of our church desired outcomes. So we will be presenting those as for the congregation to kind of look at before we then, next slide, revamped and ministry, as groups get the ministry project stuff going, we will launch them and revamp and consolidate and all of that, and any partnerships that come along, we will launch those as things go. And then finally, in September, next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Areas of ministry. I have said all along that the school is definitely an area of ministry for our church. I also think that outreach is always an area of ministry for the church. We've been looking a little bit more specifically at the school and church ministries. We will get to outreach. What is it going to look like for us to reach out into our community? I will point out I've already given you the index card outreach that even Pastor Durer talked about a couple weeks ago. Everybody know where their index card is? Never mind. I won't. Okay. Partnerships, then, I think, is kind of the third, that other ministry besides the school. I'll also point out that I think at this point right now, the way in which it's looking, our school ministry is choosing to try and do outreach to the 40% of families that don't have a church home. That's kind of the bent towards the school desired outcomes right now, along with providing a wonderful Christian education, but we're also looking, how can we come alongside especially those families, but not just them, all the families that are in our school. But our focus is a little bit more targeted towards those that don't have a church home. So outreach is going to pervade what we're doing as long as I'm here. Okay? And it should pervade it even after I leave. Just saying. Okay? And then finally, there's a special voters meeting already planned for Monday, September 14th, 6:30 here in the sanctuary, where we will present all of this in its final form and come along. Now, coming out of this meeting, am I expecting you to have a mission, a ministry roadmap to me and everything set and ready to go on September 14th? No, I'm not. But if you want to do something, fill out the ministry roadmap, get it to me as quick as possible, and we'll get the ball rolling on whatever you're working towards and looking for. Some of them we've already got rolling. I want LifeWise here this year. I do. I want them to outgrow Graceful Grounds. That'd be great. Will we hopefully also have FCA? Yes. Yes. We should. All right. And then finally, if you've got a thought that comes to you, isn't it always the case that after the meeting you think of something that you should have asked or said or something? Yeah. Feel free to email me. Feel free to text me. Feel free to call me and share whatever comes to mind. Do it not at 2 a.m. Don't call me at 2 a.m. when you think of it as you wake up. Okay? Just please email me. I can get it in the morning. Okay? And go from there. All right. Any final thoughts, questions, comments, aspirations, perspirations? Yes?
I did want to touch on LifeWise.
Sure.
I'll be out of town for August.
Okay.
I did want to say, so LifeWise is
Here, can I have you talk into the mic? Yes, thank you.
So, my name's Laura. My child attends Trinity. We attend church. I'm on the board for LifeWise, and I'm a volunteer. In order to get LifeWise started, we needed more than just a Lutheran denomination. The Baptist Church stepped in, non-denominational. I stepped in for Trinity, and Pastor Whitty, he stepped in for Grace. And we started this. We wanted to get LifeWise going for the Monroe Public School students. We started in December with Cantrick, with the 5th and 6th graders, and it's been growing. We are at Custer, and we'll be at the middle school. We are adding grades. We plan to be at every public school within the next couple years, and we need volunteers for that. We started with Cantrick, and they were all given a Bible. For many of these kids, this was their first Bible, and we cracked that open, and we started in Genesis. In public schools, they are not taught how the earth was created. They are taught something else, and I know that because in Tracy's class, she had crossed out when they got to how the world was created, and she told the kids exactly about God and the first week and everything. This is how they're taught, but in public schools, they don't have that opportunity. And they've been coming, and they've been bringing their friends, and I know that they're sharing because we had kids, they have to have permission slips signed up and before they can attend. And some of these kids, before they could come, they went to the secretary at the school and they said, we heard that we can get a Bible from LifeWise. Is there a way that we can get one without attending class right now? And they let us drop Bibles off so that kids who are attending were sharing with their friends, and these kids are taking Bibles home to their families and sharing with them. And so it's important that we are part of this. They are wanting to be there. We can take them out of school for 1 hour each week, and they are coming week after week. And if they are putting in all this effort, we really need to be part of this.
Yes. Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree.
We do take them off campus, and so for example, Cantrick needs a host church, and so Grace stepped in, and Pastor Woody is one of the teachers. He's one of the volunteers. We have another pastor from Missionary Baptist, as well as another teacher. She's substitutes at the public school, so she already knew a lot of the kids, and she's at another church. And we all come together, and it grew so much we had to break into 2 classes. We're at Custer working with the younger kids, and we will be at the middle school, which is nice because with the 6th graders, we got to Jeremiah with them, so when they're in 7th grade, we can pick up where we left off, and we'll be digging into the New Testament with them. So we will be adding the 8th graders as well.
Can I ask how much actual time you give them?
We can
Because I know
have,
my biggest complaint with the public schools was they give them 20 minutes for lunch. My kids learned how to swallow.
so yes. We
Swallow
have-
whole hamburgers. Yeah.
Yeah, because by the time you get there, you
Yeah.
get your food.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes to eat, so that was always after they left here, that was my big
Yeah.
thing was that.
They give up their recess, they give up lunch, they are allowed to give up core classes if they want to attend. So we work with them for up to 1 hour for Cantrick. They are great. They pack them to-go lunches. We get there before class is out. We grab their brown bag lunch. We get them ready. We have the check sheets for the students. We check them off as
It's
they
a
come.
well-oiled machine at this point, Denise.
And we are having to make 2 trips because we have a small bus, and now we are saving to buy a larger bus. And they're eating lunch.
No, we're not
telling
buying a
them-
bus. I'm sorry.
We
I'm
are
sorry, not doing
telling
that.
them about God's word, and then at the end, as we have time, we'll play a game that has to do with the lesson. So
Yeah.
they are still moving around, they're still learning about God, and they even have take-home material as well as their Bibles that they take with them.
Yeah, in all honesty, as LifeWise comes alongside and asks Trinity, I've already told them, yeah, we'll help. Because we have Graceful Grounds that can seat like 40 people. We're set and ready to go. I just need a little bit more, when it's going to happen, how many volunteers we need, some of those things. That's why I really asked you, Laura, to be here tonight. So,
Yes,
so
we do need more volunteers, especially as the middle school is kicking off. We need volunteers for them. We're going to be buying a larger bus soon, so we'll need somebody with a CDL license and someone who, if you don't have one and you still want to drive a 15-passenger van, you are more than welcome to do that because we're making multiple trips.
yeah, lots and lots of good stuff going on there. I know Pastor Whitty over at Grace has talked very highly of the program and has said it's a good thing. I think the Outpost Church, Amanda Aaron is from Outpost Church. Our new 3rd grade teacher is the other pastor at Outpost, and so he's excited about the program as well. And they've said some really, really good things and stuff. So some of these things we do want to come alongside and do. Can we do all of them? No, but there are things that there's nothing like being able to use Graceful Grounds. It's a great spot. Wonderful spot to be able to do things. And you guys built it for just this sort of thing, right? Graceful Grounds was a community-oriented room, not just a nice place for us to have meetings. It is that, but community-oriented room. We want to use it. Want to use it. So, all right. Anybody else? Final thoughts? Or Laura, any final thoughts about LifeWise?
Even before, like, if we get to the point of using Graceful Grounds or other classrooms, if you want to volunteer or if you want to participate, like if you're at the point where you can sponsor a student, you're wondering, like, shouldn't that be free? It should be free, except we need insurance for the buses. We need insurance to cover each kid that comes through. There's just a lot, the materials and everything that go into that. But if you want to be part of that and you don't have time,
How much is it a kid, Laura?
it's $30
For the whole school year?
per month.
Per month?
And there are some staff members that need to be paid because they're stepping away from their job. They're teachers, so instead of them going to work for Monroe Public Schools or wherever they are,
Yeah.
they'll stay with us.
Cool.
So it's an amazing program, and you can see the difference with the kids. One of the pastors said that he was at church and he saw a student walk in with their LifeWise Bible.
Cool.
So it's
Yeah.
nice that they are even finding home churches or out there, and they're getting their families to bring them.
Well, I also like that it's a bunch of churches doing it together. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, all right. Any final thoughts from anyone else before we wrap up tonight? Because I got to get Denise home for Tigers. It's only 7:30, Denise. Okay. I want to get home too, but not for the Tigers. So.
Well, actually, your Cubbies aren't playing today, are
Nope. They're playing the Tigers. So, I've unfortunately not been able to watch the Cubs much this summer. I've been spending too much time watching the World Cup. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sort of an aside. Seniors and stuff. When Ron and I have been going to the shut-ins for
Mm-hmm.
community,
Yeah.
we have been getting a lot of, we really like this, we wish more people would come.
I am hoping to have visitation teams by Christmas that will go around and give everyone at least one more visit other than their communion call a month. I'm hoping to find some folks that will do that. We're putting together a volunteer page of sign-ups of all sorts of things that people can be involved in the school and at church. And one of those, that's going to be one of them, is I'm going to be looking for couples to go and visit those folks. Yeah. It's important. They need more than one visit.
It isn't so much even just the religion end of it, it's just
Yes.
I'm here all the time.
Loneliness and isolation is a huge part of our society, and it is sad that that's the case. It's especially hard when people live in their elderly years by themselves or in a facility. You'd think in a facility that they would have more contact and everything. It's actually more isolating.
Well, it probably comes as a shock that Ron and I just don't get in and out, that we actually sit and talk.
Oh, I'm sure. No, not at all, Denise. I wouldn't have thought for a minute that you would spend any time talking with someone.
Not so much, but you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in general,
Yeah.
even if we're not there to talk about God, just in general.
Yes, just a visit. Yeah, I don't need people to go do God visits. I handle those. And Dennis and the elders, right? But I just need people to go say hello. I just need people to go say hello, check in, take a prayer request. And here's the other thing. I'm also going to train them on, please pay attention to how they're doing. And if you're concerned about something, tell Pastor Grenz so that I can, especially if they live by themselves, so that I can get a hold of. The largest part of a pastor's visits to the elderly is not communion, actually. It's to take care of, are they okay? Because very often the kids don't visit as often, or they don't live close enough to visit often, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I can't tell you how many families over the years I have called and said, hey, mom's looking a little rough. I think she needs to get to the doctor. Or any number of other things. Yeah. So, I'm looking to try and bring that alongside, because Pastor Mann's not going to do communion calls forever. We're also going to be doing something when he's gone this next year that we'll probably continue to do after he retires fully, to take care of all the communion calls and stuff. So we're going to do Sunday afternoon calls.
So how are you going to get all these volunteers?
I'm going to beg, borrow, steal, and have Karen Brown twist their arm. No, she twists their arm. Well, here's the thing. What I'm going to be talking about in terms of volunteerism is that everyone has been brought here by God because they bring something to the table that our ministry here needs. You didn't pick this church, the Holy Spirit brought you here. You didn't pick this church, the Holy Spirit brought you here. And if He brought you here, there's some role that you need to play. Now, it might be a prayer warrior. I had a little old lady. She was terrified of talking to people. She was terrified to talk to me. But she came to church every week, right? And when I started visiting her in her home because she couldn't come as often, she said, Pastor, I've never been able to really talk with people, and I know you've talked about helping people and trying to talk to people about Jesus. I've never been able to do that. So I told her, well, then you're on my prayer team. I want you to pray for me every day and our church and all the efforts that we're going through. And I want you to pray that God would bless them. And she's like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. I have a job now. I'm like, well, I would have hoped you've been doing this the whole time. But here you go. Yes, run with it and go. And when I'd go visit her, she'd update with me on who all she prayed for and everything. And she kind of took it and was praying for folks in the directory and all sorts of things. And it really became something good for her. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit through the fall, because we're going to be talking about spiritually vibrant homes and vocation in the fall here, and a large part of it will be you have a church vocation. You don't just go to church here. You're a part of what goes on here. So please, play your role. It can be small. I'm not going to do what I heard one church did, where every member in mission, and this one guy, his part of the mission was to check the batteries every time change. I thought that's a little bit too small of a role. Somebody got to do it, but we got rich. But that was his thing, and I was just like, okay, that's a little too small. If you're stretching to find those things, then you probably should be doing more. But we're going to be talking about that this fall. And it's going to be a push. We're again doing a diving deep push. Please get into Bible study. And basically it's going to be, hey, if you can't volunteer for something, then I need you in Bible study so that you can grow into volunteering and into that. So, all right. Let's get out of here in under an hour. What do you say? Sound good? Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your insights and everything. With the other town halls, I've sent out notes and stuff. I'm not going to do that with this one. We didn't have a ton of notes. This was a little more informational than dialogue, that kind of thing. But there will be some stuff that happens here coming out in the August meetings and stuff. So please put those on your calendar and come and be a part of them. Thank you. Enjoy your evening, everybody. Get home safe.